going, guys? So today we're going to be installing Kryptonite products, tie rods on my LML truck. I'm over here at my buddy's shop in Spanaway. He just opened up a few months ago.
We're Full Deck Autoworks, Spanaway, Washington. We've been open for about 6 months now. Really excited to see how these Kryptonite tie rods work on this badass lifted GMC.
All right, let's get to it. So we're gonna do a quick unboxing of the tie rods right here. These things are packaged really nicely, put together very well. Everything's on the box, all the warranty and everything. Of course, it's lifetime warranty on them. All the instructions on the back side. Take them out of the box here for you. These things are heavy duty too, like seriously heavy. These things have to be 10 pounds each, I would say. So just give you guys a quick rundown of these out of the box now. You got a grease zerk on the end here, as well as two where it connects to the center link, assuming it's for spreading the grease evenly on into the boot here when you need to re-grease them. Installing the tie rods on these trucks is pretty easy and straightforward, so we're gonna do it on the shop floor here just to show you how you can do it in your own driveway. So typically you're going to use a puller to remove the tie rod from the hub itself. You can also use just heat up the hub itself and then smack the end of it. Just be careful not to mushroom it. On mine last install I did mushroom it a little bit, but it'll still go through. Since it's going to be replaced, we don't really care about it, so you just want to make sure you don't mushroom it too bad so you can be able to get this through the hole on the hub itself. Go ahead and remove the nut. We're going to go ahead and heat up the hub.
Make sure when you use heat on this, you want to emphasize the heat on the knuckle. Keep it away from the bottom of the tie rod boot and also the bottom of the tie rod. It'll make it come out a lot easier. And the heat isn't always necessary with the design of the knuckle, but it definitely makes the job a little bit easier if you can apply just a little bit of heat on that.
So next we're going to take off the nut for the tie rod end here. And the difference, you can just feel the difference in just the weight of them. This is probably 5-6 pounds, maybe 7 pounds, but this is like over, this has to be 10 pounds at least. These things are ridiculously heavy duty. I also do want to note that these are specific to driver and passenger side. This is our driver side here, so you can see the logo sticking out forward, so we'll adjust that so you can see it facing forward. But the other side obviously has the Kryptonite backwards, so that when it's on this side, the Kryptonite logo sticks that way. So you can see the size difference, especially where it mounts up to the center link, just the difference in thickness there. So next thing we're going to do is measure out the stock one so that we can set the new one to the same length. And then tomorrow, which will actually just be later in this video, we'll actually do a full alignment.
These are opposing, so once they're in, you can just spin the center and they'll both toe out, and then spin it both and they'll both toe in. So you want to set them on the vehicle at 0 so that way they evenly spin out from each other. So if you don't want to scratch your new tie rod ends, you can just throw some tape around for the wrench. That way the powder coating or paint won't chip. Your thickness is your discretion on how aggressive you're going to get with it.
So these tie rods do come pre-greased. We actually push the boot down a little bit here so you can actually see it a little bit in there. Let's see if I can get it to focus. You're not going to be able to tell too much in there, but they do come pre-greased.
At some point we want to emphasize this is merely for getting it to the alignment center. You do not want to drive it on a tape measure alignment.
You'll ruin your tires.
You'll ruin your tires and the integrity of the tie rod. So at a certain time, immediately after you install the tie rods, you definitely want to get it to a local alignment center that's familiar with aligning lifted trucks.
So next up we're going to screw the new tie rod into the center link. So one other thing I do want to note is that the grease fittings are just barely screwed in there so that you can get a wrench on here and then install these once you're all done, and then obviously tighten them down. Don't tighten them too much, obviously just go snug, but also you do want to apply Loctite to the tie rod end as well. So one thing that we were running into when screwing the new tie rod into the center link is that it was actually hitting the end of the tie rod on the knuckle itself. I kept calling that the hub, but it's the knuckle. So one thing we did do is just hop back in the truck and actually turn the wheel to the right a little bit so that the center link would go towards the passenger side so we can at least get this screwed in, and then we'll turn it back to where it was so that we can finish up. Next, you'll reinstall the grease zerk fittings. So next we're going to use the impact just to get it snug. You can use just a basic ratchet to get it on there. We're just going to get it snug right here, and then torque is going to be 38 foot-pounds. And the nut where it meets the center link is 100 foot-pounds. So to torque the inner nut that connects to the center link, normally you would use like a crow's foot with a torque wrench on it. Unfortunately, we don't have one that's big enough right now, so we'll have to do that at a later time. We're just going to get it as tight as possible at the moment, and then I believe tomorrow I'll have one to be able to torque it to the right spec. So once the impact gun got it tight enough to where it started actually spinning the tie rod end itself here, we then got a wrench to turn the nut and a small wrench to actually hold the tie rod end itself so that we can get it snug enough to where it's not spinning the tie rod end. So now that the tie rod shaft is actually in there tight enough to where it's not going to spin, we can put a torque wrench on it and tighten it to 38 foot-pounds. And now we'll spin the lock nuts into place. And now finally tightening them down. So one thing you want to make sure of is that you hold the center shaft in place and only tighten the nut itself, otherwise it will throw everything off. So as you can tell, it is pretty easy and straightforward to swap out the tie rod. So we're going to go ahead and do the passenger side, and we'll see you in a minute. So around 20 or 25,000 miles ago, I think it was around this time last year, I actually got an oil change at a dealership here around the Seattle area. And I know what a lot of people are saying, why'd you take it to the dealer for oil change, blah, 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 they're just trying to rip you off. I actually had a coupon at the time. It was like 60 bucks for an oil change, and it's factory oils. I felt it was okay to use at the time, but they did tell me that one of my tie rods was getting worn out at the time. And actually, now that we are replacing them, I can actually see which one it was, and it was the passenger side, and I'll show you how worn out it was. So this is the passenger side here. You can see how much play is in the end there where it connects to the center link. And then the driver's side, you can see how little play. And that's forcing it quite a bit. So yeah, they were right that this passenger side definitely did need to be replaced, which with a lifted truck and I take it off-road quite a bit, honestly I'm not too surprised that it was worn out. On the snowmobile trips and whatnot, we're going up these logging roads, so that probably contributed to the reason why this little guy got worn out so quickly. So fast forwarding through the video real quick, we did have to adjust the tie rods a little bit to get the wheels straight. When you do install them, definitely cycle the wheel back and forth a couple times, and then do just a quick measurement from the outside of the tire tread on the front of the tires as well as the rear of the tires, just to get an approximate alignment so that you can at least get to the alignment shop. So next up is going to be the alignment, so that's going to be tomorrow. I do want to give a big shout out to Cody and Cameron at Full Deck Autoworks. They helped me out a lot getting those tie rods in. We got an appointment for 10 o'clock. It's 9:30 right now, and it's going to be another probably 35 minutes before we get there because of this traffic. Not too bad.
Not too bad. Pull the toe out.
Not too bad for measuring it in the driveway. Hey guys, so I do apologize for not much talking going on at the alignment shop. They were pretty busy that day, so I didn't want to take up too much of their time. So just using the measuring tape to get close enough to where we wanted on the alignment, just to get it to the alignment shop, worked out great. Now I did jump a couple days ahead. I've been kind of sick the past couple days, and the day of that I got the alignment done, I went and talked to a bunch of different friends that I'm actually going to be collaborating with to get a lot more content on the channel for you guys, so you can look forward to that this spring and this summer. Now this was just the install video, so here in about a week or two, I'll have a full review video coming out as well. So with that, that's where I'm going to end the video. I do want to give a big, huge shout out to Kryptonite. They make some very, very good products, as well as Clark's wheel alignment in the description below and all their info. So look forward to that. If you have not already, please consider subscribing, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.